making some mini cash stuffing envelopes. So I'm going to show you how to make a box like this for under $5. And we're also going to be doing mini cash stuffing envelopes and including all of the things required to make them. It costs less than $1 for me to do this. I'm going to show you how to do it both with a laminator and without a laminator for anyone who doesn't have one at home. And yeah, let's get started. So as you can see here, I am using wrapping paper, and I specifically like wrapping paper because if you don't have a paper cutter, it's very easy to measure this paper, especially if you get wrapping paper that has those, you know, the cute little lines where you can follow along and cut along in the perfect measured size for what you need. These ones are measured by inch, so I made each of my papers 3 inches by 3 inches. All you have to do is just cut along. Makes it really easy, and it's so beautiful and inexpensive to use. The other really cool thing about wrapping paper is it is super thin. That's a wonderful thing when you're laminating, because the thicker the paper is, the more easy it is to get weird air bubbles, or maybe the paper shifts a little because it's, you know, creating kind of weird gaps, and then it starts overlapping, and then you have wasted product, and nobody likes that. The best thing is if you can find really thin, really beautiful paper. So I really like using Christmas paper. I got this whole roll of paper on sale at the end of Christmas for, I think it was $3 or something. And I use it for birthday wrapping as well, because why not? But it's beautiful, it's super thin. I've also been experimenting with origami paper from my local dollar store because I find it's also very thin. And they do have some really cute patterns, so you could always check that out as an option as well, depending on what wrapping paper you already have or what's available in your area. But as you can see here, I'm just cutting out all of the paper. It's super easy to follow along, and oh my gosh, it's so beautiful. I love this paper so much. Look at it, it's so sparkly. But anyways, here I am, I'm folding it in half. So I'm making them so they're 3 inches wide and 1.5 inches tall. I found that this is the size that fits the plastic container that I was able to find at the dollar store, and that's very convenient for me because they're super inexpensive. The ones that I found were only $1.25 Canadian up here in Canada where I'm purchasing these things, and that's a really good value. So when you consider how inexpensive the wrapping paper is and how inexpensive the package to contain them is, it's a pretty good deal. So here I am, I'm folding them in half. As you can see though, because there's kind of a plastic sheen on one side of this wrapping paper, it's kind of bulky and it's making them kind of not fold and sit nicely, like they have a bit of a spring there to them. So what you're going to do is plan a day in advance, or at least a few hours in advance, where you can let these guys just hang out together and flatten out. This is a pretty common thing to do if you're making anything like journals, all sorts of different paper crafts. So you just get them really organized, and then you find something heavy to put on them. So maybe a book or some coffee. And you come back tomorrow. And once your laminating is done, you're going to check it out, make sure all the edges look really smooth. Are there any odd bubbles? You can take a minute and admire how shiny and gorgeous your paper selection was. Oh! Exciting. Time to cut. So you get your scissors, and you're going to want to try and remember which edge was the one, it doesn't really matter, but which edge was the edge that the paper was not folded. So the unfolded edge, you trim it off, you trim a little bit of paper, you know, you can always line it up a little better if you need to make it really tidy. And then once you trim that edge off, it creates this little pocket, and of course that's where the cash is going to be stuffed eventually. So you have this little pocket here, you're going to have to cut it out, but don't cut right along the edge of the paper. You have to cut a little bit of a margin where the plastic of the laminate paper is stuck together. So you cut all the way around, the one edge at the top is cut so that you can stuff it in, and it's just so pleasing to the eye. Look at this, you stuff whatever you want in there. Boop! Here we go. It's perfect, it's ready. but we gotta like make a lot more. But that's okay. Here it is. Just like that. Oh, and here I am outdoors. This is in the backyard. I like to laminate outside because it's melting plastic and probably you shouldn't be breathing those fumes in. I don't know what exactly is in this kind of material, but safe to assume you want to be somewhere where it's well ventilated and that you can enjoy yourself. Up here in Canada, if it's minus 30, obviously I'm not going to be laminating in the backyard, but on a beautiful summer day, I think the day I was laminating, this is a couple days ago, and it was 25 degrees outside. And look at this paper. Oh my gosh, it's so beautiful in the sunlight. So you got your big stack of different laminated things. I got some colored origami papers in there. Look at this gold. I love that. That's so pretty. And this sparkly diamond one. Even my laminated trimmings are beautiful. I might use that for something. Here's an upcoming experiment I'm gonna do. This is incense cones you can do at home. And I will be making a tutorial separately. I designed these little sleeve boxes on the Cricut, and I've got a big variety of different styles and colors. And depending on how cheap you can get your cardstock, they're pretty cheap to make as well. And I'll show you how to design them so that they just slide together perfectly. I don't know about this particular color combination, but you get the idea. It's a nice little box you can tuck your little mini envelopes into. I never had a laminator for years of crafting, and I made board games, card decks, all sorts of things, and they turned out really great. I think the benefit to having a laminator is definitely consistency, and also it's surprisingly less odoriferous to work with a laminator outdoors, of course, or in a well-ventilated space than it is with packing tape, which can have, after a while, a rather pungent odor. But if you don't have a laminator, it's all good. You can make just as high quality and lovely of a result as if you do have a laminator. So for my non-laminator people out there, it's all good. I got you covered. Just get some packing tape, a pair of scissors. That's all you need. And you're gonna spread out some tape, you know, somewhere that it's not gonna stick to something else. You gotta make sure it's not gonna roll away on you. And then of course you've got a couple of books where you've been storing your wrapping paper so it doesn't get all springy and springy on you. Make sure you know which end is the folded end, and you're going to be trimming there along the top later. And lay it gently down. Try not to get your back fingernails involved because you'll just get stuck to everything. And then you have to cut more paper, of course, which is not ideal. I'm using this technique of picking it up. I think there's probably other ways to do this. Maybe there's some other tutorials that have a better instruction, but I think, you know, going slow, making sure you're taking your time, it's the best way to make sure that you have a good quality result at the end. And you can see based on this, like, having a laminator does make it faster. Like, it's just more efficient to use a laminator, but that doesn't mean that this doesn't work perfectly well. So here I am, I'm going to trim that very top edge again so that I can get into the pocket, and then again leaving a little bit of just plastic on the outside, giving it a little bit of a margin all the way around. That way that paper will stay together when you're stuffing all of your money in there, which is, you know, that's the whole point of it. And it still looks great, makes it super shiny, super beautiful, same results, you know, basically a little bit thinner, but works super well, and you're good to go. Ready for stuffing. Perfect. And look how shiny. I really hope that you've enjoyed this tutorial and that you've learned something, hopefully, along the way. If you have any questions, feel free to drop down a comment there. I would love to see what your opinions are, if you do something different, or if this is something that you're interested in doing. I really enjoy making these. I love, look at that shiny paper. I love that so much. It's such a joy to make things with your hands, and I hope that you'll enjoy coming along and making some things with me as well. I'm going to be making a whole variety of items as I'm going to be selling some things at a craft market. So there's going to be upcoming videos with new tutorials. And of course these cash stuffing envelopes, they're often sold in a bundle of 100, and the idea is that every day you add, for 100 days you add money to these envelopes. And if you live in the United States and you have $1 bills, that kind of works out because you can put a $1 bill in the first envelope and 2 $1 bills in the second envelope and 3 $1 bills in the third envelope. You get the idea here. Up here in Canada, we don't have $1 bills, we have $1 coins and $2 coins, so it's not as convenient for that particular cash stuffing challenge, but you could still make it really fun. I think a lot of people put a certain amount in each envelope, so every once a week you put in $20, $100, as much as you think that you need in terms of your saving goals. But I really like these small cash stuffing envelopes because I think it could be a great way to encourage kids and youths to save some money up and get organized. Oh, and look at this. In the backyard, we have a robin's nest right here. When I was doing this laminating, the mom and dad did come and get after me a little bit, so I eventually moved over to a table that was a little further away. But aren't they sweet? So exciting. I love nature. I love springtime. So there's those little robins. They're getting big though. They're almost going to fall out of that nest one day. Fly away, as is only right. And here I am. Oh, you'll notice I've got a coffee cup under my laminator. The reason that I have that is because sometimes that little arm at the back falls down and it makes all the papers get shuffled around and fall out of the laminating envelope, and then that makes me sad. So what I do is I just prop it up with a coffee cup, and that way I know that it's not going anywhere while I'm not looking. I think we all imagine our days and how we would like to spend them. What kind of things bring us happiness, spark joy, as Marie Kondo would say. Like, what does bring joy to your life? And for me, I love making stuff. I just love crafts. I love all kinds of crafts. I love learning new things. I really enjoy every aspect of crafting. So if you're here on this channel hanging out with me, probably you're the same. And I just wanted to tell you, that's good. Let's enjoy making crafts. Let's embrace it. Let's experiment. And let's just live our best lives, because life is too short to do anything except for embrace the things you love and what you're good at. So I wish you great happiness and happy crafting. I really hope that you'll consider subscribing to my channel. It would be so fun to have you come back and hang out with me and make some more crafts. I have lots of really exciting projects planned. I'm going to be doing a summer market, and so I'll be making all sorts of really fun new projects, and I hope that you'll come back and join me. Also, if you don't feel like making this project, you can just order one off my website. It's free shipping in Canada, and I'll include the link in the description below. Also, I have a second channel where I ride my bike around, and then later I record guitar music to accompany my bike ride, and it's just a really fun time. I'm just, having some fitness goals. So I hope to see you there also. Maybe while you're crafting, you'd like to also be able to enjoy some outdoor scenes and some very mediocre guitar playing. Thanks. Bye.